an incoming summer analyst at Goldman Sachs. He got recently placed in this company, and some of his achievements are listed in front of you, which I would like to read. That among he was among top 20 finalists at Codecode, which is a tech fest at IIT Bombay, and it was held last year, I think. Yeah, and also he has secured a global rank of 14 in Codechef's December 2019 lunchtime, which is a biggest achievement I think in all the listed one. And other than that, he is a competitive programming lead at Codechef Tech Chapter Chandigarh, and also an executive body member at PEC ACM student chapter. And Ankit, are you there?
So, hi everyone. So, first of all, I would like to thank Sahej for such a warm welcome. It's my pleasure to be here. So, in today's session, I would like to share my experiences and try my best to guide you on what's right or wrong according to what I have felt during my journey.
Okay, that's cool. So we'll be starting soon. So Ankit, what was your interview preparation roadmap? Like every one of us has a schedule, or a table kind of thing. So what was
Right, right.
yours?
So, first of all, I would like to share my personal experience first, and then I would move forward to on what I felt was right or wrong during my journey, and I'll tell a brief roadmap on how to prepare. So basically, in my first semester, like I first learned a language. So I learned C++ initially, and then I started basic practicing on HackerRank just to get a feel of coding. And then in the second semester, I basically started doing a little practice on Codechef. Basically, I did the max of my practice in the summer break after my second semester, but I started that in the second semester. So initially, it was a little tough for me to start off with Codechef because the level of Codechef is way higher than as compared to HackerRank. So, but I kept on practicing questions there. And in my third semester, I started practicing in Codechef contests as well, both short and long contests. Again, my start wasn't that good. I remember in my first contest was May long challenge last year, and I was only able to solve first question, that too partially, only for 20 marks. But then again, I kept on practicing, and I was able to gradually improve my performances. And then in my fourth semester, I basically worked on a project, and simultaneously towards the end of that semester, I started the interview preparation, and it took approximately 2 to 3 months, or you can say 4 months, of the entire preparation, particularly related to interview. So basically, during my journey, I did a lot of mistakes personally. So, so first of all, I would like to share some tips on what you should take care of, जो कि generally बहुत बच्चे नहीं ध्यान देते हैं जिस चीज़ पे, which are actually very important, but are the most underrated things. So सबसे पहले कि proper sleeping schedule. You should have a proper sleeping schedule. क्योंकि during the day, otherwise a lot of times we feel sleepy, we are not 100% productive, and we are not able to get the best out of ourselves. So try करो कि you should have a good proper sleeping schedule. Secondly, हो सके तो prefer doing physical activity daily for at least half an hour or an hour, because when we do physical activity, we are able to properly get the best productivity out of ourselves, because proper blood flow होता है body में, brain sharp हो जाता है, proper काम करता है. सो फिजिकल एक्टिविटी में करो, एंड इफ पॉसिबल ट्राई करो कि अपनी हॉबीज को भी परस्यू करो, बिकॉज दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर रिफ्रेशिंग योरसेल्फ. तो नाउ बेसिक रोड मैप, इसके अलावा जो आई वुड लाइक टू सजेस्ट यू इज दैट, मतलब आई पर्सनली फील दैट कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग हैज हेल्प्ड मी अ लॉट इन इम्प्रूविंग माय प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग skills. So I personally suggest everyone to at least try it once, but this is definitely not mandatory. Matlab, I would like to give you an analogy related to DSA and CP. So CP, competitive programming, is like hiking. So matlab, and DSA is like running. If you don't do hiking, so that doesn't mean that you will not be able to run. But if you do hiking, you are able to improve your stamina, which definitely helps you a lot in running. So basically, if you are able to do competitive programming, so it will definitely help you in DSA. So basically, a basic roadmap for a first year, right, I would like to suggest is that in the first semester, try to learn a language. I personally suggest C++ first rather than Python, because it becomes very easier to learn Python if you learn C++ first, but vice versa is not true. It becomes very difficult to learn C++ later. So I would suggest that initially you learn C++ or Java if you like that, and at least start basic practicing on any competitive programming or any online coding platform, whether it be HackerRank, LeetCode, GFG, or anything which you are comfortable with. In the subsequent semester, in the second semester, I would say कि start preparing for DSA. मतलब try exploring कि data structures कौन से exist करते हैं, various algorithms, try to implement them, start कर दो. मतलब this was something I did not do during my journey, but I would highly recommend you to do that in your second semester itself. And simultaneously, while you are learning DSA, I would suggest कि start practicing further on a difficult online coding platform, which actually helps you extend your level. And anytime you feel that you are getting comfortable doing particular set of questions, that is the sign that you need to upgrade your level. उस time पे don't feel proud of yourself that you are able to do these questions. That is a sign that you should now upgrade to a further level. So I would suggest that in the next semester, at least try participating in contest, because अगर हम interview की भी बात करें, everything is time bound. So if you are not in a habit of doing contest time bound, so you might face a lot of struggle during your interviews. So at least start participating there and try to keep patience there. मतलब a lot of times you might not be able to perform well. मेरे साथ भी बहुत बार हुआ that बहुत बार contest में I was not able to solve problems. My rank was not as what I expected. But you need to keep patience and believe in yourself. मतलब patience रख के करते जाओ. It will definitely pay you off. And then I would suggest कि at least एक project हो तुम्हारे पास basic सा at least semester 3 तक, so that you can have that you can have something on your resume. And in semester 4, I would suggest कि at least now start working on your highlight project. मतलब I personally suggest कि 1 से 2 project काफी होते हैं, but you should have one highlight project. मतलब that is something like unique या कोई problem solve करता है, which actually attracts the interviewer. So you should have your highlight project. And finally, once you are done with all this, you can devote approximately 2 to 3 or at max 4 months just before your interview start for the proper DSA preparation as well as the core subjects preparation. So that's what I personally suggest. If you have any questions, please feel free to pitch in between in the chat box or any way you like.
That's cool. A really great start. So, moving further, what's your take on resume? Like, there's a lot of hype and lot of tension being created when the placement approaches near. That हमारा resume अच्छा होना चाहिए, हमारा अच्छा है या नहीं है, whether or not that मतलब एक पेज का होना चाहिए, 2 पेज का, प्रोजेक्ट्स कौन से लिस्ट करे. So, what's your point of view on that?
So yeah, basically, resume definitely helps you a lot impressing your interviewer. मतलब I personally felt that in my experience. So first of all, बहुत लोगों का question होता है कि कहाँ से बनाएं. So there are a lot of online platforms, but personally जो मैंने use किया था, that was Novo Resume. So I'll be sharing the name in the chat box. You can see there. So Novo Resume is the site on which I made my resume. So उसके बाद there are some points which I feel कि ये चीज़ें होनी चाहिए या ऐसा आपका resume बनाना चाहिए, ऐसा होना चाहिए. So the first thing is it should be a one-page resume. You should not go beyond 1 page at any cost, because most of the times interviewers spend at max 8 to 10 seconds on a single resume. So there's no point going beyond 1 page. He won't be even flipping the page to see that next page. Okay. Apart from that, you should have an objective line there. There should be an objective line which defines you below your name. And apart from that, you should also have your phone number, your LinkedIn profile, your GitHub profile, and all your competitive programming profiles, if any. Like अगर तुम्हारा Codechef पे कोई account बना हुआ है and you have performed good, So try mentioning it there. So it increases the credibility of your resume. Then some basic sections which you must have in your resume is like education honi chahiye with your latest results and grades. Then you should have a skills section, and you should only write those skills on which you are 100% sure that I have a good hold on that. And if the interviewer asks me any question about that, I'll be able to answer. This was one thing I did wrong in my resume, that I also wrote some points, some skills which I was not having good hold at. I was not good at them. Uh, like I was not confident at them. Like मुझे पता था कि क्या होते हैं क्या नहीं होते, but I was not completely 100% confident on them. So that is something I did wrong. But I would highly suggest please don't do this mistake, because if the interviewers ask something related to any particular skill you don't know and you're not able to answer that, that leaves a very bad impression. So, and apart from that, you should have a project section which tells the duration of the project, the start and the ending date. Date is like you can mention them in months and year. And then you should have short points defining your project, 2 or 3 points, which basically defines what contribution you made and what were your achievements in that project. Then you should have an achievement section. Like in my case, I highlighted my competitive programming contest results. Like I was able to get global rank 14, so I highlighted that in the achievement section. I was able to get into the top 20 at Code Decode Tech Fest, so I also highlighted that in my resume in the achievement section. So that's something which tells them that you are not only into curriculum, you are much more than that, and that definitely helps you a lot impress the interview. Then the next section I would suggest is position of responsibilities. Like if you are the part of any coding club or any club of your college, you are the executive body member, you are a member or anything, you should display that in your resume. And in case you participated a lot as in that role, you can also mention some few points defining your responsibility. Like if I consider my case, I am the executive body member of PEC student chapter. So I particularly wrote there that I was responsible in holding various events, various workshops, and organizing various coding competitions. So that's what I highlighted in my resume. And then finally, you can have a certifications section, and that this is definitely not mandatory. This is like optional section. If you have any certifications in your name, so you can write that in this. So now, one more thing which is very important is that in your resume you should write everything based on the priority. Like the priority should be always top to bottom and left to right. The most important things you want to reflect should be at the top and the left, and something you are not you don't want, that's something which is not that important. You can leave that at any other place. But this is generally the trend followed. And then please don't have any typos in your resume. Double check each spelling in your resume, because it leaves a very bad impression seeing typos in the resume. And finally, keep it very simple. Don't make too much. Don't use too much of fonts, and keep that updated. So that's basically what an ideal resume, according to me, should look like.
That's great, and that's really, really, really beneficial for every one of us. I think so. And moving on further, important topics to focus for placement preparation. So, with with placements or interviews approaching near, or
Right.
exams, college exams bhi hote hain, so we are
Mm,
in a confused state कि कौन से topic पे on which topic we have to focus on. और
right.
किसको ज़्यादा time दे वो करे. So, what according to you, what are the important topics which you focus upon?
So I basically, अगर proper मैं बोलूँ तो it's like 4 sections में I divide. So the first one is the subjects you need to study. Second one is the aptitude. Third one is the projects, and the last one is the resume, which I have already discussed. So let me take them one by one. So subjects में, yeah, there are basically 5 subjects mainly. The first one is the DSA, and that's everyone is aware of about that. So DSA में you know that data structure and algorithm होता है. And I would personally suggest ki whenever you are preparing for that, try to make notes of some important concepts, tricks, tips, or any standard algorithms you come across. जैसे कैडेन्स एल्गोरिदम होती है, वैसे मतलब अगर नाम नहीं पता तो डोंट पैनिक, मतलब जनरली आई एम टेकिंग द नेम, जैसे कैडेन्स एल्गोरिदम होती है. सो इफ यू कम अक्रॉस दैट एंड दैट्स द फर्स्ट टाइम यू came to know about that, try writing that somewhere so that it helps you later while revision. And बहुत बार ऐसा होता है you come across many tricks and tips, so which you discover yourself while coding. So it helps a lot if you write them somewhere, and you can refer them later. So now there are basically three websites I would personally prefer according to what I did. So the first one is Geeks for Geeks, and everyone is aware about that. So यहाँ पे you can see a lot of articles, everything you can find here. It is like a coding encyclopedia. You can find everything. You can even practice here on GFG practice. You can even practice questions. So this is something which you must definitely refer. Secondly is Lead Code. Now something very good about Lead Code is that it has very selected questions. It has around 1000 questions, but they are of very good quality. In GFG, you might find thousands of questions, but a lot of questions are not that good quality, because बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि तुम most optimized algorithm नहीं करते हो, and then also the compiler accepts your solution, and that's definitely not what you want. We want that the compiler does not accept a non-optimized solution. So lead code में ये problem नहीं आएगी. Lead code में it will always give you time limit error or any error in case you are not able to fulfill the constraints. And the third one is the interview bit. And interview bit I would personally suggest कि interview से 2 महीने पहले शुरू करो. इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा ही selected questions होते हैं. मेरे ख्याल से 100 questions भी नहीं होंगे. And यहाँ पे you can practice a good quality questions. और बहुत अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म है ओवरऑल. सो एंड टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट भी होता है थोड़ा थोड़ा. इट स्टार्ट्स अ टाइमर, सो बेसिकली इट हेल्प्स अस डूइंग इन टाइम लिमिट. सो दैट्स व्हाट आई फील अबाउट डीएसए. सेकेंडली हमारा आता है ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स. सो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम मोस्टली जनरली इन कॉलेजेस पहले कवर हो जाता है, एटलीस्ट फॉर सीएससी ब्रांच. बट अगर नहीं भी होता है तो यू कैन रेफर एनी ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म, जैसे गीस और गीस पे भी मिल जाएंगे तुम्हारे को इसके नोट्स वगैरह, एंड और भी बहुत होते हैं. और अगर वीडियो लेक्चर्स देखने का, इफ यू आर यूज्ड टू व्यूइंग यूट्यूब लेक्चर्स, सो यू कैन रेफर मैनी चैनल्स लाइक गेट स्मैशर्स और एनीथिंग, जो भी तुम्हारे को कंफर्टेबल है. मतलब इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन यू कि कौन विच टीचर इज एबल टू मेक यू अंडरस्टैंड द कंसेप्ट्स रियली वेल. दैट व्हाट मैटर्स. तो इसमें कोई पर्टिकुलर नहीं है, इट्स जस्ट दैट व्हाट सूट्स यू. सेम फॉर डीबीएमएस. बहुत बार ऐसा होगा कि हो जाएगा कवर कॉलेज में, बट इवन इफ इट्स नॉट कवर्ड, सो यू कैन रेफर टू एनी यूट्यूब चैनल, एनी यूट्यूब प्लेलिस्ट, एनी ऑनलाइन सोर्स. बट याद रखना प्लीज, एसक्यूएल जरूर कवर कर लेना. मतलब इन माई आरसीजीएम इंटरव्यू मेरे को एसक्यूएल में फंसा लिया था उन्होंने, एंड आई वॉज नॉट वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट इन एसक्यूएल दैट टाइम. सो आई वॉज रिजेक्टेड in that round, particularly in my second technical round I was rejected after that. So maybe SQL was the reason for that. So try करो कि SQL को neglect मत करना. At least I have seen बहुत लोग neglect कर देते हैं. SQL को neglect मत करना. Then comes OOPS, हमारा object oriented programming. So basically be clear with the OOPS concepts. कोई भी online source चल जाएगा इसमें भी. I would personally suggest में GFG से कर लो, because it has also a lot of MCQs. जो if you practice that, so you will be able to get your concepts crystal clear. So GFG is a very good source for that. And it's में generally what I feel is कि companies जब पूछती हैं MCQs, तो उसमें जो कोड होता है that is written in Java. So try करो कि Java वाला, मतलब मेरे को खुद को Java नहीं आती थी इस टाइम तक. मैंने खुद ने C++ में किया था OOPS का, बट जब मैंने कंपनीज का टेस्ट दिया था तो उसमें जो क्वेश्चंस थे, जो कोड लिखा होता था एंड फाइनली द क्वेश्चन, तो वो जावा में होता था. तो बहुत बार ऐसा होता था कि मुझे समझ ही नहीं आता था. तो ट्राई करो कि थोड़ा सा बेसिक नॉलेज जावा का हो, ताकि ऊप्स के कंसेप्ट्स क्लियर निकल जाएं तुम्हारे. ऑल्दो कंसेप्ट सब लैंग्वेजेस में ऊप्स के सेम ही रहेंगे, बट वो सिंटेक्स वाली बात आ जाती है, एंड समटाइम्स सम कंसेप्ट्स बिहेव डिफरेंटली इन डिफरेंट लैंग्वेजेस. तो ट्राई करो कि जावा वाला एटलीस्ट देख लो एक बार, क्योंकि टॉप प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड कंपनीज में जावा में ही जनरली मैंने देखा है. एंड फाइनली कंप्यूटर नेटवर्क्स, एंड दिस इज ऑप्शनल, मतलब दिस इज कॉलेज डिपेंडेंट. मतलब बहुत, मेरे केस में एक इंटरव्यूअर ने मुझसे पूछ लिया था, बट मैंने उसको सामने से बोल दिया था कि आई एम नॉट दैट कॉन्फिडेंट इन सीएन, आई हैव डन ओएस एंड डीबीएमएस. So he was like okay with that, and he further asked me questions on DBMS and OS. But I would suggest कि अगर अपने सीनियर्स को रेफर करो अपने पर्टिकुलर कॉलेज के, अगर ऑन कैंपस कर रहे हो, अगर ऑफ कैंपस भी कर रहे हो तो उनसे पूछो जिन्होंने पहले दिया हुआ है, बिकॉज दे वुड नो कि ये पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट उसमें इंपॉर्टेंट है कि नहीं है. तो सब्जेक्ट्स में तो बेसिकली ये आता है. एंड जनरली तुम्हारे को जीएफजी पे लास्ट मिनट नोट्स भी मिल जाएंगे. इन केस अगर तुम अपने नोट्स नहीं भी बनाते हो तो मे बी वो हेल्प करेगा, बट मैं पर्सनली प्रेफर करूंगा कि खुद बना लोगे तो वो बहुत हेल्प करेगा. तो इसके बाद आता है हमारा एप्टीट्यूड. तो
Ankit, sorry to disturb you. There's a message in chat box. Please try
राइट.
speaking in English. So
ओके.
let's
श्योर
keep
श्योर.
that in mind.
ओके श्योर. सो
Yeah, and
बेसिकली
you
नाउ.
were talking about aptitude now.
राइट राइट.
So the next topic itself in the PPT is aptitude. So let's focus on
ओके.
that also.
So
Let's move to the
I'll
next
cover
slide.
that. No, wait. I want to cover something about projects as well.
Okay, so after this you can do that. Aptitude and this PPT will also, this slide will also get covered in that.
Okay, right, right. So talking about aptitude, so this is like the most neglected part in placement preparation. At least I neglected it a lot, but it generally carries a huge value while selecting people, while shortlisting people. So a lot of companies even ask puzzles during the interviews. So it's better that you don't neglect that. Now, to prepare for aptitude, I would prefer India Bix site. At least I started preparing on that, although I was not able to continue that, but I started preparing. So India Bix is a very good site for practicing. So I would suggest ki at least try practicing 15 to 20 questions daily for at least 2 months. So to be able to actually train your mind to be able to solve these type of questions. And apart from that, level of aptitude varies from company to company. We cannot generalize anything. But if you do such a practice, it will definitely help you crack the aptitude part of almost any company, or at least help you a lot in developing solutions of some complex problems as well. So it's better that you practice, make it a habit, and practice daily. Now, I would also like to cover some part of the project as a part of the previous slide. So basically, I personally feel that 1 to 2 projects are more than enough, although I made more projects. But everywhere I have seen that 1 or 2 projects are more than enough. But what matters is quality. That it would be great if 1 or 2 you have very good 1 or 2 projects rather than having 4 or 5 very basic projects. So for making a project, I would suggest try being very unique. Try to have a unique project idea. I'm not saying that invent something or innovate something, but try to do something which solves an existing problem. So it should not be like that you are making an e-commerce website. There are thousands of already existing e-commerce websites. So that won't help anyone. So try making something which is a little bit unique and it solves a problem. And even if you are, if I talk about the second year, right? Even if you are short on time and you don't have a good project, try making a team, decide upon a project, plan the project well, and divide the project among yourselves. Even if the other and you are not doing the entire part of the project, at least try to have some meetings at regular intervals and know what the other person is doing. You can have meetings at regular, like a weekly meeting, and discuss whatever you have done, and the other person will discuss whatever or she has done. So try doing such things, and definitely that will help you a lot if you are short on time. And then finally comes resume, and that I've already talked about.
Cool. Cool. So our next question is how to do the debugging questions. In MCQs type we get questions like find the error or find the output. So what was your approach for that?
So basically, if you want to debug questions, so it is like practice helps you a lot developing that habit. Like I personally got very good at debugging after practicing a lot. So it takes time, but if you practice, so definitely you will learn a lot of techniques on how to debug a question. So basically, if there is a syntactical error, so that will be clearly visible in the compiler error. But if there's a logical error, so what you can do is you can dry run your code and see where it's going wrong. But sometimes dry run might take a lot of time. So what you can do is you can that this is what I personally do, and I have seen a lot of coders do, that you can write various print statements at various regular intervals. Like before for loop, you are writing a print statement. After for loop, or after some part of the code, you are writing a print statement, and see where exactly the output is going wrong. Like the logic you made, where exactly the logic is deducing the wrong answer. So try doing that. So you'll come to know the part of the code which is behaving abnormally, and then you can particularly see dry run that particular part and debug your problem. This is what I have experienced, and this is what I feel worked best for me.
Okay, so I'll definitely, try this approach for my personal use, and I'm sure everyone else will also try that. And the next one is how to clear coding round, being the most, the hot topic for in the placements or interviews.
Right.
How to coding is, everyone's dream to, to get all the test cases passed. So what was
So
your
So basically, I generally, if you would ask me, I would divide the coding question into five parts. Matlab, it depends upon person to person. It's not like a universal truth, but I divide that into five parts. The first one is the problem statement. So I would personally suggest that read problem statements multiple times, because the problem statement consists of two parts. The first one is the story, and the second one is the actual problem. So we need to focus on the actual problem and not the story behind it, or the problem, or basically the real life situation which the interviewer or the coding question holds. So basically, we need to first find out what the actual problem is. After we find out what the actual problem is, we then need to focus on the constraints. Now, why constraints? Because in the coding round, we are short on time. We need to find the optimized solution as fast as possible. Generally, if you ask in a general interview, we are not that time constrained. In general interview, we generally first tell the slowest solution, or we can say the most brute force solution, like exponential solutions. Then we slowly improve them. We slowly improve on time, we slowly improve on space. But in coding round, we are very short on time, so we cannot actually waste a lot of time on that. So you need to first see the constraints and decide on what time or space complexity your solution would work. So first see the constraints properly, and then try to find out on which is the best time complexity, or the time complexity you need to work on. And then once you have understood the problem statement, you can also verify that you understood it right or wrong by seeing the sample test cases, that the problem statement you understood was actually right. So sample test cases generally help in that, but don't completely rely on them. Sample test cases sometimes misguide you as well. So, but you can just verify them once. The second part comes the logic building. Now, I would highly recommend that you use pen and paper for this. A lot of time, people try to make logic in their brains and then start writing code. But that definitely is the worst practice, I would say. So try doing on pen and paper first. Use pen and paper and try decoding the logic behind the problem statement. And once you decode the logic, you can verify your logic by developing your own test cases, or again the sample test cases, as I told. But sample test cases generally misguide you. So it's better that you generate your own test cases and then uh, verify your logic. Then the third part is the corner test cases. So now basically this is something, if you don't consider, some of your test cases might not be uh, submitted correctly, because these are the cases which they definitely take care of. The companies definitely take care of these cases. So it's better that you check for some corner cases, like if you talk about division by zero. So if there is a case that your somewhere it is getting divided by zero, so your program will get a runtime error. But if you properly make your corner test cases, you will definitely take care of such cases. So definitely look for such cases before coding. Don't straight away start coding. First, please look for some corner test cases. Now, the fourth part is the pseudocode. So write a pseudocode for a developed logic in your preferable language, or basically in basic English you can write also. So you also need to include the corner test cases you discovered earlier. This is very important. Like if you are talking that you called a recursion, you called a function, and you are basically calling a function which is recursively calling itself. So you need to call the terminating condition as well. Otherwise, it would again give you a time limit error. So do include corner test cases as well. Then you need to dry run your pseudocode on your sample test cases or any other cases you generated before or developed before. Dry run your code before starting the coding. So if at by this stage you are successfully able to get the right output, so you can then start coding. Otherwise, you need to first check your logic. There's some error in your logic. That's why some of your cases might not be getting sufficed. So it's better that you check your logic then. But if it's working fine, then you need to code it out. Now you can code in any of your favorite languages, but preferably I would suggest C++ or Java, because some companies might not allow Python uh, in their tests. So it's better if you use C++ or Java. Now, this might seem that it's a very long process. Like I stated, 5 processes and further make test cases, corner cases, and this and that. But this is generally the most efficient way, according to me, in terms of both speed and accuracy. Because if you don't follow such a planned procedure, like if you directly straight away go to coding, so there might be a case that you make a wrong logic or you commit a lot of mistakes while coding. So it will definitely increase a lot of your time, and you might also do a lot of wrong submissions as well. So it's better that you go planned, and this will definitely help you increase the accuracy and speed. So it's better. Now there's a tip from my side. It's better if you have good knowledge of inbuilt libraries like STL in C++ or any other similar library in Java. This generally helps a lot reducing a lot of coding time. So that's what I generally follow in case of a coding round.
Well, a really, really, really beneficial piece of information from your side. So, moving further, importance of communication skills in interviews or in anywhere in day-to-day life also, like we communicate. Do you really think that a day-to-day life communication helps us, to convey our point to the interviewer or the examiner?
So basically, I feel that communication skills are really very important. Like they definitely play a huge role in putting an impression on the interview. I have seen a lot of people who are like very very good at coding, like a lot better at coding, but since they are not that good in communication skills, so that definitely does not leave a good impression on the interviewer, and they might get rejected just because they are not able to communicate what the logic behind their code, what they feel, what are their views about something. So that's really important if you have a very good communication skills. But first of all, I would like to remove a myth which I feel that exists, is that a lot of time people consider that communication skills are all about English speaking skills. So I would personally suggest never ever relate communication skills with English speaking skills. Communication skills is something like that you are able to make the other person understand your views, your ideas, your code, or anything. It's just like the other person is able to understand you. That's it. So that can be in any language. That doesn't matter that you are good at English or what. Definitely in interview you will be communicating in English, but even if you fumble, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter a lot. There are no issues in that. Just keep on. Just try to be very simple, and just be sure that the other person is knowing what you're trying to say. Just be confident on yourself. Fumbling 2 3 times or even many times isn't something which should bother an interview, according to me. Like even in this session, initially we were talking in Hindi and English mix. So the main aim my main aim was that you should be able to understand what I am trying to say. That's what matters to me. That's what actually is the aim of this session. If I'm not able to make you understand anything, so that doesn't make any sense. So just be confident, and even if you fumble, or if even if you are not able to speak fluently, that isn't a big issue. That's okay. So some tips I would like to share to improve your communication skills is that try to be more expressive in everyday life. Try to communicate a lot with people. Like, I personally was a very big introvert, and my communication skills were very bad when I entered college. But with due course of time, I participated in events. I actively participated in my coding club, where I communicated with a lot of people, and that definitely helped me boost my confidence, and definitely helped me know how to express my views clearly to the other person. And definitely, you need to be a great listener as well. Communication skills is always two-way. It's not like you are keeping on, you always speak and the other person is just listening. It's like a two-way communication. So you need to be a good listener as well on this. And second tip I would like to share, and this is very specific to coding interviews. uh, when an interviewer asks you a question, so this tip generally helps a lot in that. Like, when you are practicing on any platform like lead code, gfg, try practicing while speaking. Like, try explaining the solution while you are coding it, while you are practicing for your interviews. So that definitely gives you an habit on how you can do the similar thing while you are in front of an interview. So this helps a lot. And one more thing which is really very important in a coding interview is that you need to keep speaking in front of an interviewer. You need to keep speaking your views, your ideas, your logic. Whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter. The interviewer doesn't always see that you are able to code the most optimized or the right solution. He just wants to see how you think, how you are able to develop a solution to a particular question. That's what matters. So just keep on expressing yourself. Don't think in your brain that I might be wrong or what the other person will think. That doesn't matter. What matters is how you're able to think, how you are able to convey. That's what a lot of interviewers see. So that's all about communication skills.
That I think that first year and the second year one have a great time, to work upon their communication skills, and the ones in third and fourth year should really work on that urgently. And moving on further, importance of competitive programming.
So, as I earlier stated, I personally feel that competitive programming has helped me a lot in my journey. Uh, if today I am in Goldman Sachs, I give a huge credit to competitive programming because it trained my brain to develop logics very fast, and that to the optimized ones. But I must clear this fact that this is definitely not must. I have seen a lot of people who are not from computer programming background but have cracked big tech giants. So this is definitely not a must, but it will definitely help you a lot if you do that. First of all, the first thing is you definitely enjoy a lot while you do competitive programming. I personally used to enjoy a lot when I did competitive programming. So this was my first reason of doing competitive programming. But there were other reasons as well which motivated me to do competitive programming. Those were like it helped me a lot improving my problem solving ability. Like, initially, I faced a lot of issues while coding even very basic algorithms. But as I started off with HackerRank, then moved forward with Codechef, gradually my brain got trained to solve even more complex problems a lot easier than I used to. So this definitely helped me a lot improve my problem solving skills. And the third fact is that even if you are talking very specific to interviews, this will definitely help you a lot because there are some situations where the interview asks you a little tough questions as compared if we generally talk, there are mostly standard algorithms which they ask, but there might be some case that they ask a little difficult question. So if you are from a competitive programming background, you're definitely used to solving such questions or even of a higher level. So even if you face such questions, you will not face any issue regarding that, and you will be able to confidently find out the solution right in front of the interviewer easily, and you'll be very confident. But if if you have not done competitive programming, then there might be a case that facing such difficult questions might make you a little worried during the interview, and that might not leave a good impression. The next thing is that it helped me learn the art of googling. Like, this is something which is very important in general life as well. You need to know how to google stuff. Uh, there is like, even if you are searching for something, there is a way that you need to write on google that it gets you the most relevant results. So this is something which competitive programming has helped me learn. So next is, as we talked earlier, this helped me a lot learning the art of debugging. Like, initially, I was also not a very good debugger, but as I continued my CP journey, it helped me a lot on how to debug questions. I myself devised some ways on what I can do to debug such questions. And finally, even if you are a kind of person who likes development, I personally feel that, this is my personal view, that competitive programming helps a lot in development as well. Like, if you are making a project, an e-commerce website, for example, if it takes 5 to 10 seconds to just load your website, so definitely no one would ever use that website. But while doing computer programming, you learn how to make algorithms faster, how to optimize those. So definitely, computer programming helps you a lot in development. I personally haven't done much development in my first year or even in second year, but since I've done CP, so it helped me a lot in my recent project in the last semester. So I definitely would prefer computer programming a lot.
Now I got to know that this thought process and this approach has helped you secure that global rank 14 in Codechef challenge and that CP programming lead, in your college. So
Right.
moving on further, does having a portfolio website helps? Like, do you have a portfolio website at the time of your interview or not?
So basically, I personally, while learning web development after my interviews, I learned a little bit of HTML, CSS, and some web development. So during that time, I made my portfolio website, and that too a very basic one. So I'd never had a portfolio website during my interviews, and I personally think that that doesn't add much value to your profile, because most of the times, as I earlier stated, that interviews spend only 8 to 10 seconds on your resume. So on the he might not even open that website. So in case he opens, he might like that. It might leave a good impression, but definitely it doesn't add a lot of value. Like, it's okay to have it, but definitely not worth wasting a lot of time in case you don't have one.
So, like, we can, agree with the fact that our resume is a portfolio.
Right. Resume is like your portfolio. That is something which that you need to make your resume in such a way which basically sells you.
Okay, that's really great. And how to deal with the real life problems asked during interviews?
So basically, I am assuming that this question asks, like, if an interview asks me a problem or something related to my life. So am I getting that right?
Mm, But my perception of this interview when I checked the responses was that I discussed this with a friend of mine, and he conveyed to me that someone has a drop in CGP between two semesters, and
Okay.
interview points on that side. So did you experience like that? Did interview ask you real life problems or like?
Yes, actually, in my HR interview in Goldman Sachs, I was asked a lot of such questions. So I would personally suggest, in this case, be very honest. Even if it's something positive or it's something negative, be very honest on that. If it's positive, then definitely it will be very good. But even if it's something negative, try to cover it up. Like, I usually feel that I'm not that good in communication skills. So I even if the interviewer asked me something like that, so I would say that I am not that good in communication skills, but definitely I'm working on that. Basically, you need to have a cover up point on that. So it's better you actually work on your weaknesses. If you have, there is no person who is perfect. Everyone has a lot of weaknesses, but what matters is how you handle those weaknesses, how you work on them. So even if even if you are encountered, if you ever encounter such questions, it's better that you have a backup point on that, on how you are working on that. If like as Sahaj stated that even if during a particular semester you had a CG drop, so it's okay. You might have some medical issues or some family issues or anything, but what matters is how you handle that after that particular semester, how you worked on that so that you can improve your CG. So that's what matters. So you need to be very honest on that and try being very calm. Don't panic if the interview asks such questions. It's very general. They are generally very friendly. You just need to be very honest. Don't lie at all.
Okay. I think this one, every one of us should keep that thing in mind while giving an interviews, because that panic state, makes us forget these things. And jo us time pe hota hai out, in heat of moment, we speak that. So
Exactly. Try to being very calm. It definitely helps you a lot.
yeah, sure. And do certificates play any role during interviews? Because everyone, preparing for an interview or a placement or a job in a company, runs after certificates, and get themselves enrolled in different courses, and, try each and everything to, get all the certificates possible. Because I have heard that in lockdown, people have, gathered 100 certificates.
Right, right.
So
I have
do
also seen that.
certificates play any role? Really? Do they play?
So, according to me, what I have felt is that certificates don't play any role, but skills definitely do. If you possess skills, that definitely would help you a lot. If an interviewer wants to know that you possess a particular skill, he would definitely not look into the your certificates, but he will definitely ask you some questions related to that skill, and he will definitely deduce that from there that you are good at that or not. So I don't think that definitely it does not play much role in that. As you can see, as you stated, that a lot of people have hundreds of certificates. So that doesn't make any sense. In Coursera or Udemy, you can easily solve those quiz questions, seeing answer on any online platform. Like people have uh, stored the answers on GitHub, so anyone can easily solve them and get the certificates. But does that actually mean that you have that skill? So definitely not. So it's better that you work on your skills rather than focusing on certificates.
Okay, definitely. Everyone. I think this needs to be conveyed to everyone. That certificates are really not needed.
Exactly.
And how to prepare if you're not from CSE branch?
So basically, like I've already shared the roadmap, which I feel is good if you follow that. But apart from that, for non-CSE students, I would suggest that there might be some subjects like operating system, DBMS, computer networks. These are the subjects which are generally always covered in case of a CSE student in the in the college curriculum only. So they can actually study the same as a part of their curriculum. But for non-CSC students, they have to focus on that separately. They might be taught a particular language. Like at least I have seen that most of the colleges teach basic languages to almost all the branches. So that might not be an issue. But for some these core subjects, you need to focus on that. You need to focus on operating system, DBMS, and computer networks in if companies ask them. So you need to be prepared for that. And apart from that, it's very similar to a CSE student, because they will have to study the same thing that you have to do. So, and apart from that, I would suggest for non-CSE students, try to keep your CG a little higher, because some companies have a little lower cutoff for CSE as compared to the branches. So it's better if you have a little higher CGPA.
Okay, so whether the topics same, whether CSC or non-CSC, the topics which needs to be focused are same. We can,
Right,
wrap up this
right.
on this note. Okay. Best platform resources to boost your preparation in the right direction. I have, read the messages in the chat section also. They were asking what platform, so we can club those questions in this slide together.
Right, right. So basically, this again depends upon what you're trying to do. If you are trying to focus on competitive programming, then HackerRank, HackerEarth, Codechef, Codeforces, these generally help. Personally, I would suggest start off with HackerRank because that's very user friendly. First of all, secondly, it has very beginner friendly questions, and thirdly, it helps you start developing test cases because this is the only way, like in Codechef you cannot see the hit test cases, they all are hidden, but in case of HackerRank, the test you can actually download the test cases and see where your answer is going wrong. So basically this was something which helped me develop my intuition on how to build test cases. So at least start off with HackerRank. Once you get comfortable with the feel of competitive programming, then you can move forward to either HackerEarth or Codechef. So in my time, I started with Codechef, and there you can practice questions, and then finally, if you want, you can also move forward to code courses. Now, this was something dedicated to competitive programming, but if you are directly looking for interview prep, then GFG, Lead Code, and Interview Bit are the best. GF on all the three platforms you can practice. On GFG, you can find a lot of articles, a lot of algorithms. You can find almost anything on GFG. So I would suggest ki start off with GFG if you are a complete beginner to practice some questions. Once you get used to all the data structures and some of the algorithms, then you can move forward to lead code because that would help you focus more on the time constraint parts and the space constraint part. And finally, in the last 2 months before your interview, I would suggest prepare from interview bit. It has a very good set of questions. It will definitely help you a lot pre- getting your concepts revised properly.
Okay. Due to shortage of time, this was a last slide, my personal interview experience. But I think this can be clubbed in with the questions and the things we have discussed till now within 1 hour.
Right.
And now, since due to shortage of time, like I mentioned earlier, we can start with the chat sessions. The questions in the chat session.
Right.
So first
I'm open to
one.
questions. You can ask any question if you want.
Please feel free to drop the question, and I'll be, going through all the questions. How to prepare for aptitude on daily basis?
So again, as I stated earlier, it's good if you practice 15 to 20 questions daily. It's not something very big. You can easily practice 15 to 20 questions daily. You can before you sleep, like if you sleep at 12, try making a schedule that at 11 or 11:15 you start doing some questions, and before you sleep you complete your daily target. So I started during my time, but I was not very regular in that. So that definitely affected my coding, my aptitude part. But I would highly recommend that please focus on the aptitude part. Don't neglect that at all.
Okay. What about student programs? Like we have Microsoft student programs and different programs across the universities. So, are you a part of any program, or do you think there was a need for you if you're not a part of one?
So all the student programs, like they are beneficial if you actually participate in them, and actually like if you talked about Microsoft student program. So basically, if you are organizing a lot of events, a lot of workshops, so that definitely adds on to your portfolio. But more importantly, that develops you as a person, and that definitely helps you a lot in your interview because they see you as a person before as matlab, not completely as a coder, but they also see how you as a person are. That definitely matters a lot.
Okay, that's great. And moving further, uh, please share resume shortlisting process.
It completely depends upon company to company. There is nothing particular. Sometimes they shortlist on the basis of CGPA. Sometimes they might see some other things. There is nothing in general. That completely depends
I
on
have a
company to
personal
company.
question on this. Like, do they keep these kind of informations confidential, or they share with
Yeah,
you
right,
everyone
right.
selected?
They never share on what basis they have shortlisted a particular set of questions. Sometimes even we think like how they shortlisted. We are not able to decode what exactly they did. but they definitely never share. That's something really confidential.
Okay, so the next question, please suggest the names of online coding platform.
Actually, that's what was covered in the last slide, I
Yeah,
guess.
the
Uh,
Geek for Geeks, Lead Code,
right.
Interview Base, Code Force.
Interview.
These are the
Right.
top and the most trending platforms
But I would
today.
suggest be specific to your application. Like if you are not into computer programming, you don't have to work on Code Forces, Codechef, or HackerRank. Then you can move completely to Geeks for Geeks, Lead Code, Interview Bit. But it's good if you do such website as well because they actually have a very good set of questions.
Thank and also like thanks Umang Agarwal for listing all the coding platforms and strategy for first year BTech students. This is covered in the
Yes,
session.
right. I have covered that in the session initially.
How to make consistency. Like we study a lot when we are happy or motivated, but sometimes we get sad, and due to that sadness, we don't study even 1 hour. How to be balanced and consistent. Did you face some kind of these situations?
Right. Actually, I faced a similar situation during my preparation, and the biggest mistake I did was like I was completely like preparing the whole day. I was not into any physical exercise. I was not into my hobbies. That's why I suggested that please have a good sleeping schedule, sleep properly, sleep for at least 7 to 8 hours, and then please indulge into physical exercise. Either do some stretching or running or any sport you love, but please give at least 45 minutes to 1 hour daily on that time on sports. And finally, you can also indulge in your hobbies. That definitely helps you a lot.
Okay. We have to worry in first semester or start something to do.
I would suggest in first semester try exploring things. Be very open, talk to people, share your views, share your ideas. Definitely practice coding, at least learn a language in your first semester. But definitely you don't need to worry too much in your first semester. Enjoy. वैसे भी you are very much tired after your JE generally. So it's better that in the first semester, just be very uh, chill and work on your overall development rather than the academic development.
Okay. Uh, okay. The next question. You should learn C++ language in your first sem. Is language really a barrier or not?
Sometimes some companies don't allow Python, but I have never heard like C++ or Java is a barrier in any case. And I would definitely suggest please don't use C in in interviews because C is like even if you want to sort something, you will have to create a whole function for that, and that is definitely not what they are looking for or what would help you because everything is time constrained. So please don't use C. You can go with either C++ or Java.
Okay. How to prepare for off-campus placements?
So I don't think there are a lot of variations in that, but I would personally suggest if you apply for any particular company, try reaching out to some of your seniors who are placed off campus in that company because every company has their own way of selecting people off campus. So it's better if you talk to your seniors who have gone through that particular experience.
Okay. You mentioned that you have done C++ as a language. So on which platforms did you practice C++?
Like initially, while learning, I used to practice on HackerRank only. And then later, as I have stated earlier, I started with Codechef. And later, during the last 3 to 4 months, I practiced on Geeks for Geeks, Lead Code, and Interview.
Okay. This consistency one has been answered. And IndiaBix. Which site for aptitude you can refer IndiaBix. And is any book for aptitude preparation or IndiaBix is
I
sufficient?
personally never referred a book for aptitude, but I feel India Bix is sufficient for interview prep. At least it would train your brain to solve such kind of problems.
Okay. Any tips for full stack web developer?
Sorry, come again.
Any tips for full stack web developer?
Like I have also very recently done web development, so I think I'm not the best person to answer that question.
No
But I would
worries.
suggest it's better if you like what I have felt in this short span. It's better if you don't just follow some particular tutorial of making a website. It's better if you plan out yourself on what your website should look like and then make it on your own. Like I personally faced a lot of issues while making the website, but during the journey I learned a lot. Like in a span of 1 to 2 months, I can say I learned a lot of web development, and that was because I didn't blindly follow any particular tutorial, but I focused on what I had planned earlier and focused on that only.
Okay. I haven't registered for this webinar. My friend referred me. Will I get my certificate? Sure. The ones who are attending this webinar, the feedback form will be, the link for the feedback form will be shared soon after the end of the questions. And please fill that feedback form and, please note that enter correct details of your name and your college city. And so that, the form, there's no error in the form. And moving on towards the next question, more info about projects and projects idea and level will be appreciated.
So there, it's like level of the project doesn't matter a lot, nor does the technology. What matters is what your idea is. Like, just assume that you are an interviewer. What kind of projects will definitely interest you a lot? And it will definitely want you to ask more questions about it. Just see the perspective of an interviewer and you will definitely get the answer to it. There is no particular level. It's like what idea you have chosen and how interesting that idea is and what kind of problem that idea solves. That's what matters.
Lokesh and Umang, thank you for the appreciation. It really means a lot. And I'm in third year. Tips for competitive coding. I'm a beginner.
I guess you should also start with HackerRank only because again there are a lot of things I have learned personally learned from HackerRank, and I always suggest beginners to begin from HackerRank only. So start off with HackerRank. Once you feel that you are able to solve such level of questions, you can move forward to Codechef. Once you reach Codechef, you can start practicing in the practice section, but definitely take care of the fact that whenever you feel that you are now comfortable doing such level of questions, it's an indication that you need to upgrade your level. So don't feel good about the fact that yes, I'm able to do questions now, it's all right. Always upgrade your level once you feel that now you're able to solve such level of questions. It's an indication.
Okay. Any idea about the internships? How to get first internship or internships in general?
So like this is my first internship personally, but what I feel is that it's better if everyone should be more active over LinkedIn. Like I was personally more active on LinkedIn in after my fourth like during my fourth semester and after that. So it's better if everyone at least start using LinkedIn properly from their second semester so that they come to know about a lot of opportunities there. Because LinkedIn is the best platform which helps you know about a lot of off-campus internship opportunities. And in the college, it completely depends on which college you are. So for off-campus, you can refer LinkedIn.
Great. And I see a lot of messages regarding the internships which have been answered, I think so. And how to revise and prepare for interview for last 5 to 6 months. Nitya Shri, I would suggest that, hearing his session for 1 hour, I personally believe that have a planned schedule and focus on topics which are important, which he has already
I guess
discussed.
I guess 5 to 6 months are more than enough for interview prep. 3 to 4 months are generally a lot, very much for that. But 5 to 6 months are like you can easily revise, you can easily learn, and then even revise twice the DS and the other core subjects. So 5 to 6 months are a lot. You can easily prepare for that.
I hope your query is answered, Nityashri. And for learning C++, is it necessary to learn C first?
I personally started off with C++ and I have never learned C. So I don't think that learning C is mandatory for learning C++.
Okay. During coding round, can I use predefined function in any language?
Uh, I'm not sure about Python, but in all the tests I gave, I was able to use the inbuilt. Personally use C++, so I was able to use the inbuilt functions. I gave the coding round of basically Arcesium, DShaw, and Goldman, and I was able to use these inbuilt functions easily. So there was no restriction on that. But for Python, I'm not sure.
Okay. So, do you know about any company which hires, with logical and different thinking perspective to solve real-time problems, or do they give importance to logic and real-time thinking, or not?
Can you get to the question again?
Do you know about any company which hires, person with keeping in mind the logical and different thinking perspective to solve real-time problems, or do they give importance to that, the thinking and the real-time
Right.
approach?
They actually give a lot of importance to that only. Even if you are not able to solve a particular question in a coding interview, that might not uh, affect your interview performance a lot. But the way you think, the way you analyze the problem, the way you are able to solve the problem, that matters a lot. So that's something they look out for, definitely.
Okay. So I'm in first year. Can CP and open source contribution go hand in hand?
Uh, this is something like completely depends upon you. Like if you are like I personally wasn't ever very good at time management, so I couldn't do both. But if you are good at time management, then you can definitely go for both. But I would suggest if you're not able to manage both of them properly, please don't do them together. It's better to keep both of them aside if you're not able to handle them both together.
Okay, by this we came to an end of for the session. Thank you, Ankit, so much for answering all our queries. And Anshika, please share the feedback form link and our LinkedIn profile link for GirlScript Pathankot also, so that people can connected with us and be a part of future events. And also, I would like to ask I would like to request you all that for future future advice and suggestions are always welcome, and please feel free to connect with Ankit or with any one of us. We are sharing a LinkedIn profile link in the chat section, and please feel free for any kind of suggestions on events or competitions we should conduct, or if you want to be any kind of suggestions or ideas, or you have, please share with us so that we can improve, and you can be a part of our improvement.
So thank you so much, Sahaj and GirlScript Pathankot, for giving me this opportunity. It was really a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you, Ankit, to yeah, Ankit,
Thank
for
you so much,
having a very
Anshika.
good session. And
Thank,
yeah, thank our entire team of Pathankot, and further all the best for your future.
thank you so much. Like
I would
Yeah,
before we end, I would
like
just
to
like to
sir.
say one last thing. Like everything I shared today, that
yeah,
was something which worked for me, or some mistakes that I feel I should not have done, I should not have committed. So for you, there might be something different which would work. So don't completely rely on what I did. Be very particular about yourself on what works for you. Like I am a night person. You might see me like Ankit is a night person, so I will also wake up at night and work. But it might be a case that you are a morning person. So be very particular about how you are as an individual and what works for you, and don't be completely particular about what I did. So that would definitely work for you.
So can you suggest any book for C++?
Like I personally never read a book to be honest, but Robert Rafore I guess is very good, or Detail and Detail. These two books are something I have heard about. I would write that in the chat box as well. Robert Lafore, and the other one is Detail and Detail. You can refer them and see what works for you.
Okay, so any other questions you want to ask, or any other query you have, which you think is not discussed, because from such a human
yes,
response. Yeah, Nitesh.
one second, sir. Everyone, everyone, please fill the feedback form so that you can be eligible for e-certificates. and put your suitable and valuable backs for everyone. Like Ankit has delivered such a nice session, so we should appreciate.
Thank you so much, Anshika, for the appreciation.
And the, for
So
the
in
feedback
the end, we can
won't be
conclude this.
because
Yeah. Yes, Anshika.
I'm over with that.
So in the end, we can conclude it. Yeah, I know that the college name and city are asking for the email. I'll just correct it once, and you can fill the feedback form after 7:30. You know, it'll be corrected after the event. And also, what I'll have learned from the session is that preparation to placement, you know, the process matters, and I'll work on my process. Thank you, Ankit, for delivering that session.
Thank you so much, Sahaj, and thank you so much, GirlScript, for giving me this opportunity. It was really a pleasure to deliver my first session.
Thank you so much, Ankit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, everyone. The feedback form has been corrected, and if any corrections are needed to be done, please feel free to drop a message here. So, Anshika, shall we end this meeting?
If you have to say,
Sahaj, you can stop the recording as well.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Correct.